What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another gun guide. This is the series where I go into great detail with all of the stats for the weapons in Call of Duty Vanguard, and in today's episode we are going to be covering the brand new assault rifle that launched with Season 4 Reloaded. This is the Vargo-S. And starting it off as always, let's have a look at our damage profile, and with this gun it's going to be a 4 to 4 shot kill, although if you do shoot the limbs, it can drop off to a 5 shot kill at longer ranges, but with torso shots at least, it's a consistent 4 shot kill. As for headshots, within the maximum damage range, we only need to land one single headshot mixed in with torso shots to drop that down to a 3-shot kill, so headshots are actually excellent to go for with this gun. As for our rate of fire, this is 659.3 rounds per minute, and this gives us a base time to kill potential with a 4-shot kill at 273 milliseconds. And this isn't a very good time to kill at all, at least for closer range fights. However, like I said, if we land just one headshot mixed in with those body shots, our new time to kill potential is 182 milliseconds, which is very competitive. After that though, our bullet velocity is just standard for assault rifles at 885 meters per second, and then let's get into our range values. Our maximum damage range, where it's always going to be a 4-shot kill no matter where in the body you're shooting them, this is 47 meters, and then beyond that, you still have a 4-shot kill potential, but every shot needs to hit the torso. If you land just one limb shot beyond 47 meters, it will take you 5 shots to kill. As for hardcore modes, within that maximum damage range, it's a 1-shot kill anywhere in the body, whereas beyond that, you're going to have to shoot them in the neck or the head if you want to maintain a 1-shot kill. Next, let's have a look at our hipfire, and we don't have a great hipfire spread with this. It's tied with the BAR and the AS-44, and it's only better than the KGM-40 in the assault rifle category. Then when we get into our idle sway, we can see there is very little sway while aiming down sight. This is a very stable gun. And now let's get into our recoil. And the recoil with this gun is pretty interesting. It's not a ton of recoil by any means, but the main thing to point out here is there is a bit of a jump between the first and second shot fired, and that's very important because this is going to be taking place in every gunfight you find yourself in. But outside of that initial jump, the recoil is very predictable and controllable. Next up, let's move on to our handling stats, and we have an excellent aim down sight time at 210 milliseconds. This is more along the lines of an SMG. And it's a fairly similar story with our sprint out time. It is quite fast for an assault rifle and more within the SMG range. As for our reload add time, this is 1.85 seconds, which is a bit on the slower side, so that is something to keep in mind. And finally, for our base stats, we have our mobility stats, and across the board, this gun is well above average for assault rifles, and in many ways, it's a lot more like an assault rifle SMG hybrid. Especially with our aim walking movement speed, that's a very solid aim walking movement speed for an assault rifle, and definitely one of the strong points with this. So there we go, that's going to wrap it up for the base stats of the Vargo-S. Now let's get into some unique attachments, and we'll start it off with barrels and their recoil, which, as you can see here, the first barrel pretty noticeably increases our recoil, especially that jump between the first and second round. That's a pretty massive jump there, so generally not a great choice unless you're looking for a really close quarters build. The second barrel, on the other hand, this makes this gun an absolute laser beam. There is almost no recoil with that barrel. And then finally with the third barrel, this one gives us the most amount of recoil, but it is worth noting the jump between the first and second round, it's not as bad as with the first barrel. As for our range values with these barrels, the only one that impacts our damage range is the second barrel, the one that gives us more accuracy. And you'll see there, it bumps our maximum damage range over 60 meters, which is nice. However, you'll also notice it's slowing down our time to kill, so let's have a deeper look at that second barrel. And as we can see here, that slowdown in time to kill is a result of a slower fire rate with this barrel. It's actually less than 600 rounds per minute now, and over 300 milliseconds to kill for an assault rifle up close is not a competitive time to kill at all. So what I would say with this barrel is it's amazing for recoil and range, but in order to give you a viable time to kill, you pretty much have to combine this barrel with either a magazine attachment that improves our time to kill, or the vital proficiency, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Unless you're doing that combination, I wouldn't recommend this barrel at all. As for the only other barrel that directly impacts our time to kill, this is the third one, which gives us a faster rate of fire at 789 rounds per minute, and this gives us a time to kill potential of 228 milliseconds with a 4-shot kill. And this is a much more competitive time to kill for close quarters situations. However, we do have to keep in mind this also pretty noticeably increases our recoil. And therefore, unless you're creating a specialized build for more close quarters situations, I generally wouldn't recommend this barrel because it just destroys the versatility. So there we go, that's going to wrap it up for the barrel attachments. Now let's move into magazines, and again, we'll start this off with recoil. When it comes to 7.62x54R, you can see that the recoil is about the same as the base gun, maybe slightly improved, but I would call that a pretty negligible difference. Whereas with the 8mm Mauser, we can see a little bit more instability when it comes to horizontal recoil, so that's something to keep in mind, but I would still consider that to be quite accurate and controllable. And then finally, with 30-06, you can see a massive increase to the vertical magnitude of our recoil, especially when you consider the fact that that's only 20 rounds that you're firing, whereas with all the other plots, that's 30 rounds. So there is a pretty crazy amount of view kick with 30-06. As for ranges, the 7.62x54R will reduce our range by quite a bit, whereas the 8mm Mauser will slightly improve our maximum damage range, and then finally 30-06 will increase our ranges to over 60 meters, which is the best range increase out of any of these magazines. And with that, let's dive a little bit deeper into these individual magazines since they all have an impact on our time to kill. When it comes to 7.62x54R, it's now going to be a 4 to 5 shot kill, so it will drop off to a 5 shot kill even if you're hitting all torso shots. And our rate of fire is increased to 705 rounds per minute. What this means for our time to kill potential is in the 4-shot kill range, we do get a slight improvement to our time to kill at 255 milliseconds. This is still not an incredible time to kill by any means. Like, it's more competitive than the base gun, but not by a large degree. And then with a 5-shot kill, it's going to be 340 milliseconds, which is quite a slow time to kill. So overall, since we are seeing that little bit of improvement up close, I would say this is not a terrible choice, but it's also not great, and I generally wouldn't recommend it if you have the other calibers unlocked. And speaking of those other calibers, let's get into 8mm Mauser, and with this, it's now going to be a 3 to 3 shot kill, so a guaranteed 3-shot kill in the maximum damage range, and then a 3-shot kill potential in the minimum damage range, as long as at least one of those shots hits the torso, which is very likely. And this does reduce our rate of fire down to 600 rounds per minute, but this gives us a time to kill now of 200 milliseconds, which is very, very competitive, even with SMGs up close. So I would say this is actually quite a solid choice for your time to kill potential. The recoil is still very manageable, and I would recommend this on a lot of builds. Now finally for our magazine attachments, with 30-06, this one turns this gun into a 2-shot kill, and you can see the damages that got posted on the dummy there. That is a ridiculous amount of damage that you deal per shot. You're going to deal 94 damage to the torso with a single shot up close, which is actually more damage than you deal to the head with this caliber, so that's insane. But our rate of fire is significantly reduced all the way down to 279 rounds per minute. And this means we don't get a ridiculously fast time to kill potential. I mean, it's still very solid at 215 milliseconds. That's still a very competitive time to kill, but it's not like it's insane or anything. And with that massive reduction to our rate of fire, combined with the really high recoil, I consider 30-06 on this gun to be very unforgiving. So it's absolutely viable and you may love it, but if you're the type to miss shots here or there, this can be very punishing. A single missed shot will absolutely devastate your time to kill potential, so you really have to be on point with this. And that right there is going to wrap it up for the magazine attachments. Now let's move on to the vital proficiency though, because this one is very important with this gun. If you use the Vital Proficiency with the base ammo type, it's now going to be a 3-shot kill in the maximum damage range as long as one of those shots hits the upper torso, neck, or head. And usually that's something that's going to be coming naturally anyway. And what this means is our time to kill potential with a 3-shot kill is 182 milliseconds, which is a very, very fast time to kill. That's super competitive. And I would say this is an amazing choice as long as you're using the base caliber of the gun or the lower caliber of the gun. So either 6.5 Sakura or 7.62x54R. This is going to be a great choice for you. Just keep in mind though, this doesn't stack with higher caliber ammo. So if you're using 8mm Mauser or 30-06, don't use Vital, you'll be wasting your proficiency completely. And with that, we can finally get into some excellent attachment combinations for this gun. And the first one I wanted to share with you guys is just the versatile build that I have. So with this, you'll notice we're not even using a barrel because if we are going for versatility, I feel like all of the barrels on this gun are more so geared toward niche playstyles, not versatile playstyles. So we're just eliminating that entirely. But with this, we're also using the base ammo type, which is 6.5 Sakura with the 45 round drum magazine, combined with the Vital Proficiency, which does give us that 182 millisecond time to kill, as long as we're landing one bullet to the upper torso, which is easy to do. And this also has really good handling for an assault rifle. It's much more along the lines of an SMG, and it's also quite an accurate setup, so you should have no problem picking people off at longer ranges, but it also holds its own just fine in close quarters, which is why it's my versatile build. As for the second setup I'm going to share for you guys, this one's a lot more specialized, and this is my more aggressive build, so it's not designed to be taking people out across the map. This is more so for the close quarter situations. With this, I've stacked as heavy as possible into our aim walking movement speed. So our aim walking movement speed is actually equal to our base movement speed, so it doesn't matter if we're aiming down sight or hip firing, we're going the same speed, which is amazing. Also with this, since we're using 8mm Mauser as our magazine option, we're going to be killing in 3 shots with a time to kill of 200 milliseconds. It's useless to stack Vital with 8mm Mauser though, so we're using Steady, which does help mitigate the reduction to our movement speed while shooting our gun, and that's important with a strafing build. Another thing to keep in mind with this is our aim down sight time is ridiculously fast at 158 milliseconds. Most SMGs can't even aim down sight that fast when stacked with attachments. So this is super snappy while also being super strafey, but one of the downsides is it's not the most accurate setup out there. Like I said, you're not picking people off across the map with this build. It's much more geared toward close quarter situations, and I would treat this just like an SMG. And with that, that's finally going to wrap it up for today's gun guide on the brand new Vargo-S assault rifle. As for my thoughts on this gun, on its own, without any attachments, it's pretty subpar, unless you're hitting headshots, and I wouldn't really say a gun is good if you have to hit headshots to make it good. But once you start mixing attachments in, I do feel like you can do a lot of interesting things with this gun, and you can really make it into a solid build. So I think it's got a lot of potential, but it's not really my favorite assault rifle in the game. Now, of course, that is just my opinion, and this is where I want to hear from you guys in those comments down below. What are you thinking about the Vargo-S so far in Call of Duty Vanguard? If you guys have missed any of the previous episodes, I will leave a link to the gun guide playlist in the description down below. And if you enjoyed this one, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.